no doubt in my mind that that's absolutely the single thing that meditation gave me right from an early age, was that gap between something happening to you and prompting you, pushing you, poking you, and your reaction to that poke or prod. It opens up the gap between the thing that happens to you, the external influence that affects you, and it opens up the gap so that you can choose your response. It's not just happening automatically. Suddenly it almost changes time. When you've got that inner peace, when you've got that inner resource, it almost just like everything slows down into slow motion, and you suddenly go, I could go that way, that way, that way, or that way. You don't just instantly knee-jerk response in one direction or another. And that is why I believe that we've all got the answers inside us, because if we give ourselves the space and the time, we can actually choose between those 3 or 4 things. Nobody else has got the answers for us, but other people can support us to find our own answers. It's interesting, this notion of non-attachment that comes from the Buddhist tradition, and actually it's been a bit of a hobby horse of mine, that I feel often it's miscommunicated, this notion of non-attachment. Some people would interpret the Buddhist teaching to say, well, you better not get attached to anything because it'll just cause you suffering. So stay detached, stay, distant, remote, and then you won't suffer because nothing horrible will ever happen to you. It's actually a misunderstanding of what the Buddha was actually teaching. You could say, in one sense you could say that he taught that the cause of our suffering is our attachment. He wasn't actually saying suffering. If you look at the traditional Indian word, it could mean something like dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction is just the fact that whatever we're involved with, at some point it's not going to ultimately fulfill us forever. If we can accept the thing as it really is, for what it truly is, a beautiful flower, a wonderful husband, a fantastic shiny car, and enjoy it for what it is, what it truly wants to give us naturally of itself. Beautiful. It's when we start expecting more from those things. The flower's going to live forever, the husband's always going to be in a good mood, the shiny car's never going to be in a prang. It's when we start loading and investing expectation and investment into those things, people, circumstances, that's attachment really. It's the rigid holding on wanting things to be a certain way. That's not relaxing into the ebb and flow of change in life. Much better, as Blake says in his poem, kiss the joy as it flies. He who kisses the joy as it flies lives in eternity's sunrise. He who binds himself to a joy doth the winged life destroy.